Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed podcast. And today we're starting a very interesting and new series. This will run parallelly with our normal episodes.
Yeah. So would you like to explain what the new series is about?
Yes, so as you all know, the November and December is about to come, which means that the IPL auction will come. So, fresh cycle of coverage for IPL is here, and from the rumors, this time the retention deadline is 15th of November. So just about a month left before we get to know the released players and the players that each franchise has retained. So we wanted to begin a series in which we cover each of the 10 teams and kind of review the potential releases and how that would help them in the auction. So that is what this series will be about. We'll try and record at least two teams each week so that
Yeah.
before the deadline comes upon us, we have covered all the 10 teams.
So
And this
let,
will
let
go
me,
parallelly with our original weekly podcast.
yeah, I'll quickly explain the format of the series. So for each team, we'll first review their performance from last year. And based on that, we'll first discuss about the key weaknesses that they had. And then we'll look at the players in their squad and which players they might want to release and replace with better players. So which team do we start with first?
Yeah, so we'll start with the first and the 10th team in this episode, which are RCB and CSK, of course. Uh, so among them, I think we could start with CSK.
CSK. So we start with number 10. CSK's, I think this was the first time they finished 10th in their entire history, which is quite commendable. Not finishing 10th ever. That was a nice record, but that's broken. So I will now
Yeah,
share the screen and then we can talk more.
yeah. I think they did come really close to finishing last in 2020 and 22, but of course,
Yeah.
they finally did it last year.
So this is the squad. Before this, let's take a look at their performances from last year. So if I go to the points table, this is obviously the IPL website for people who don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
one of the best sources you can
yeah.
find.
So look where CSK finished. They were right at the bottom. They won only four games, and two out of those four came in the last five. So for most of the season, they were doing really bad. So what was your biggest, let's say, biggest takeaway from their season last year?
I think they once again went with a strategy of the past, which is investing in experienced people. But I think this time they didn't factor in the fact that the T20 game has evolved massively in the last couple of years. So that strategy clearly didn't pay off. I think players like Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Huda, and maybe Ashwin, Vijay Shankar, all of them are really outdated T20 players.
Yeah,
While every other team went after the young talent, I think CSK thought that it has worked in the past, so it will work yet again, but it clearly didn't, and that is what I felt led to their downfall.
yeah, you're correct. I was actually watching a couple of their 2018 and 19 games yesterday, and even then, they had a very old squad. They used to, I think, had a nickname called the Daddy Army
Mm,
because they had players like Watson, Faf du Plessis, Ambati Raidu, MS Dhoni himself, DJ Bravo, who had moved away from international cricket or were not at their peak, but they still managed to bring them together and win a lot of titles because they won in 2018, 2021, and 2023 with a similar philosophy. But I think since 2024, the game has evolved a lot because we have got players like Abhishek Sharma. We have got players like Priyansh Arya, who basically just go all out right from the beginning. And CSK kind of missed out on that. But the good thing is they did bring in a few players like Ayush Mhatre and Devold Brevis, who are similar to the modern T20 batters who basically start hitting from ball one. So I think they started off poorly, but they quickly corrected. And at the end of the season, I think they had a pretty decent squad. So let's move on to the players that who they might want to release. Obviously,
Yeah,
Ashwin has retired, so he won't be there. But any other players, who you think they'll release?
yeah. I think before I move on to that, I have to give them credit where it's due. They did realize their mistake quite
Yeah,
early in the same season itself. So the replacements that they booked in, I think most of them were considering future of the franchise. I
yeah,
think the three replacements were Deval Brevis, Urvil Patel, and Ayush Mhatre. And I think all three of them will be retained ahead of the original player next season. So that says a lot. So I think that is where they've somewhat done a bit of damage control, but still they are a bit behind the other franchise.
yeah. That's correct. So let's go with their bowling first. Do you think they'll release one of these players?
I think Matisha Patiran has been a little bit on the down, but of course, with just one poor season, you can't discard him because you've retained him for 13 crores.
Yeah,
So they might be a bit tempted to get 13 crores back in the bank, but I don't think that's how CSK works. So I think Noor Ahmed also did pretty well, and Khalil Ahmed has a high ceiling. Shreyas Gopal is a bit interesting. Uh, he was bought for 30 lakh rupees, so he's not there wasting money in a way. So I don't really think there are any of these that are worth releasing. Even Nathan Ellis is a really good pick, and I don't think they utilized him well because they were kind of obliged, sorry, to play Matisha Pathirana because they retained him. But I genuinely feel Ellis is a better bowler.
yeah, I agree with you. CSK is not someone who will panic like Punjab or RCB and release all their players and form a completely new squad after just one bad season. Uh, I think they like all their players. Last year, I think some of it was just that the team wasn't gelling well, and if they lost, I think a couple of games on the bounce, and then they just lost their way, and then nothing was going right for them. There was a lot of misfields that were happening, so I think that's more down to the lack of momentum. But I feel the bowlers last year were pretty good. That was, I think, the best part of last year, uh, especially Noor Ahmed. He was, I think,
Yeah,
contending for the purple cap for a lot of the season. So let's move to the all-rounders. I think
I think
this is
this is
quite
where
interesting.
the Malay is.
Yeah,
I think straight away 10 crores from Ashwin's retirement is a big plus, and uh, Vijay Shankar for 1.2 crores uh, could be worth releasing. I don't think he's uh, that good anymore. No disrespect to him, but there are better options. Uh, and I think, yeah, uh, Jimmy Overton was a bit of an overkill when you have got someone like Sam Curran in your team. So
yeah,
I think Sam Curran, they got him for just 2.4 crores, and I really feel that he was underutilized, especially as a batter. I don't think teams really understand that uh, just because he's Sam Curran, you don't have to play him down. He can come up the order and deliver. I think he scored a 80 or 90 in one of the games this year when he was sent up. against
Yeah,
Punjab Kings, if I'm not wrong.
correct.
So he's a potential candidate to play more games. So I see them maybe releasing Jimmy Overton and Vijay Shankar along with Ashwin who's retired.
Yeah, that's fair. Online on Twitter, I was reading a few opinions from CSK fans, and most of them are against Rachin Ravindra and Shivam Dubey because both these players have costed them quite a lot. I think Rachin Ravindra was approximately
4 crores.
4 crores, and Shivam Dubey was, I think, their third
Yeah,
retention, so fif-
fourth for 12 crores.
12 crores. So I do agree with Rachin Ravindra because I think he was there with them even in 2024 and he got off to a good start, but then he just kind of lost his way during the season. And the same thing happened with him last season as well. Uh, but with Shivam Dubey, I think it's a bit unfair because the kind of player he is, you won't find a lot of replacements for Shivam Dubey. It's very similar to Hardik Pandya, where he can bowl a couple of overs, but he also plays that crucial finishing role. And I think CSK lack a lot of finishers. So if they release a good India level finisher that they have, I think they'll be in trouble. So I think out of these players, they might release Rachin Ravindra, Vijay Shankar, and as you said, maybe Jimmy Overton. He hasn't gotten a lot of game time, so they might release him. I think Deepak Hooda as well deserves to be released because the games that he played last time, he looked absolutely out of any clue. He had no idea what he was doing.
Shahbaz Nadeem level.
If he didn't cost them a lot, maybe they might keep him just for the experience that he has. But if he was worth more than 2 crores,
Yeah,
I
he
think
was
he
bought
might go.
for 1.7.
Yeah, I think that's a significant money, so they might release him as well.
Yeah.
So I think these three players, so Rachin Ravindra, Deepak Hooda, and Vijay Shankar, and Jimmy Overton as well. So these four.
And I think talking about Shivam Dubey, I genuinely feel that CSK haven't really figured out how to maximize Shivam Dubey yet.
Yeah,
Because I've seen them most of the times he comes in as an impact player when he's one of the only batters in your top six who can bowl. So I don't really understand why they have him as an impact player. Uh, and he comes, I think, a couple of places too low for his
yeah.
caliber. He doesn't get enough time to, like have a big impact on the game. So I think if they can figure that out, he's surely worth the 12 crores that they've invested in him.
I think Shivam Dubey is. Uh, I think Ruturaj Gaikwad. He always thinks that Shivam Dubey should be brought against spinners because that's the perception or that's the narrative that's being built where Shivam Dubey will always hit leg spinners or left arm off spinners. But he's a very good batsman even against fast bowlers. So they shouldn't just reserve him for playing spin, but they can also unleash him a bit earlier. And as you said, if he gets some time to get in and get set, then he can be very destructive, like we saw what he did for India in the Asia Cup. He's played
Yeah,
some crucial innings for India as well. So now let's move to the batters. I think this is pretty easy. They might want to release just Devon Conway because they might want to look at a younger opener or not even an opener because they have options now. They have Ayush Matre, Urvil Patel. They might also release Rahul Tripathi because he too looked clueless last year. So I think these are the only two players they'll release because everybody else is quite young and they are in, according to CSK's philosophy, they are players for the future. So they wouldn't want to release anyone from there. MS Dhoni obviously will play, uh, although I don't think he should. He should call it a day. But because they finished last year, I don't think he'll leave. He'll at least bring them up to fifth, sixth, and then call it a day. But yeah, they'll release Conway and Tripathi, I think.
yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. It also releases close to 10 crores alone. Conway is worth 6.25 and uh, Rahul Tripathi is worth 3.4. So those are quite a significant chunk being uh, wasted on two players. So I think they've got enough talent, and they can, of course, with the money. So I think just Conway and Tripathi and Ashwin alone gives them close to 20 crores. And then,
Yeah,
of course, the smaller ones, a couple of them. So they'll have a decent purse to work with.
yeah, that's fair. So now let's quickly discuss what are the players that they need to buy in the auction. We'll obviously do this before the auction as well, once we get to know the retentions. But is there one or two players who you think will fit well in this CSK squad?
Uh, I think they need a good spinner because right now they have Noor Ahmed and Jadeja. Uh, but of course, in Chennai, you need uh, someone who can just quickly, or maybe spin all rounder. That would be better. And I think someone who they thought might do the job was Ravi Ashwin, of course, but
Yeah,
it backfired. So someone who can replace him. And I think at the in terms of batting, if they manage to release Devon Conway, then I don't think that they will necessarily release Rachin Ravindra. So you have Brevis, Rachin as your two foreign batters, and Gaikwad, of course. I can't see him over here, but
yeah,
he's also a part of the squad.
he's the captain.
So yeah, so your batting is more or less set with Urvil, Matre, but it's of course inexperienced. So I think one experienced batter and one spin all rounder is what I would look for.
Yeah, I think one player that they should go for is Glenn Maxwell because he is a typical CSK player now at this stage of his career where he's very experienced and he can deliver a lot of impact. And as you said, they need a spinning all-rounder, and there's no one better than Glenn Maxwell. I feel the batting is sorted, so they have Gaikwad who can open with maybe Ayush Matre. At number three, they'll probably play one of Sheikh Rashid or Urvil Patel, and then they'll have to straight away start with their all-rounders. So you have Maxwell, you have Shivam Dube, MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, Sam Curran, all these guys. So I think Maxwell fits well here. They have,
Yeah, and I think one more name who fits in the CSK mold is Michael Bracewell. He's a
yeah,
very CSK player. I can imagine him in the yellow jersey, and he's
yeah,
also very good. And I don't think he'll be that expensive because teams will eye other bigger players. So I think contrary to Maxwell, who could get a big bid and a lot of interest, I think Bracewell slips under the radar. So it could be a good option.
yeah. And if you remember in 2021, CSK almost signed Maxwell, but then RCB came in late with an extra bid and they took him. So Dhoni has obviously is wanted Maxwell. This could be a chance because I don't think he'll be that expensive. Plus CSK will have a lot of money, so they can pay a bit extra for him. But yeah, these are the two options that they could go for. Any last thoughts for CSK?
Um, I think one man who I really want to see play more often for them uh, has to be. I don't know how they'll be managing that, but Ramakrishna Ghosh. I think he's a very serious talent. He's an all rounder, but mostly a batting all rounder. So if they can find a spot for him, I think he's got a high ceiling and he can really be the one. Yeah, he's the one. He can really have a massive impact and become a long time CSK player. And
Yeah,
a bit of a backstory is that he's from Maharashtra, where Gaikwad has captained him, and that is why he's in the squad. So I genuinely still feel that if Gaikwad was playing the entire season last year, he would have surely gotten a chance because he's in favor of the captain. He's favored by the captain. Sorry.
yeah.
So that's one player who I'll be keeping an eye on.
Perfect. I haven't heard much about Ramakrishna Ghosh, but I will obviously keep an eye because you say so. With that, I think we can move to the next team. So now I think it's Ved's favorite team. He's switched his alliances from Mumbai to this franchise, and it's none other than RCB, who obviously won their first title last year, and it was a season where everything went right for them. Contrary to CSK, where nothing went right, for RCB, literally every single thing that could go right did go right. Let's look at the squad quickly. I think the batters they speak for themselves. You have decent all-rounders, and then you have a pretty long bowling squad itself, but they all did their job last time. So, what was the biggest standout apart from them winning the title for you?
Yeah, so the trophy it stands out, of course, but the reason they got the trophy, I think, which has been the case for a long time, but it just happened to finally click together along with the other things, mostly luck, is that you had a long list of contributors in this side this time.
Yeah,
They weren't dependent on a single player, which they have been guilty of in the past. But this time, especially, you had a lot of performers and match winners who stood up at different times. So they never really had to depend on someone, and you know that someone. So I think that is what has led, and it's been a very dedicated effort from the last season and a half, I would say, which has culminated into this trophy winning campaign.
yeah. There's a fun fact where since 2020, RCB is the team that has won the most trophies, the most matches. Although there are teams like CSK and KKR who have won titles, RCB have, I think they have won 50 plus games out of, and they're the only team to do that. And they've played, I think, around 90 or, yeah, 95 matches. So they've won more than they've lost. So
Yeah,
that's incredible consistency. I think they made the playoffs in every year except 2023, which is actually very good.
yeah, and in that season too, they were just one win away.
Yeah,
A Gill 100 snatched it.
I think the biggest reason for them last year was that they didn't lose consecutive games. Because historically, we have seen RCB, they start off pretty well, but then there's always one patch in the middle or towards the end where they lose 2 or 3 games on the bounce and then it derails their top two chances. But last time they didn't lose a single game back to back. I think whenever they had a bad game, they quickly came back and uh, they won the next game. And the the second reason was that they didn't lose a single game away from home, which is an IPL record. Nobody has done that. There are obviously teams have won more games in a row, but that's over 2 seasons. But no one has gone unbeaten away from home in an IPL season, and RCB has done that. So obviously a lot of consistency. And now let's look at the reason for that. This is their squad. Uh, who were the top performers for you? Obviously there will be a lot, but who stood out the most?
I think with the bat, I won't even take the name of Virat Kohli because he's a machine at this point. Just churns out a 600 run season. So that is something that has not changed for them this year. What has changed is his partners or people playing around him, which is Phil Salt, and I think in the
Your voice is not audible for some reason. I think there's a technical issue. But let me continue till Ved joins. So yeah, obviously, as Ved said, I think till 2023, RCB was all about their top three batters, which was Kohli, sometimes AB de Villiers. and then Maxwell or one other superstar that they always signed every season. But last year they had the likes of Rajat Patidar, Virat Kohli, Phil Salt, Jitesh Sharma, and even here you had Tim David, who contributed really well, which he didn't for MI, and I'll never forgive him for that. And then you had Krunal Pandya as well, who I think helped them win a game against Delhi, which was almost gone. And then obviously in the final as well, which I'll again not forgive him. But he's done great for them. So as I mentioned, there were at least 4 to 5 other players who also contributed outside of Virat Kohli. So it was not just a one-man show. Whenever Kohli failed, there was someone else to support the team. And I think that was the biggest reason for them. Is Wade back? Let's check. No, I think you'll have to switch to your earbuds. The mic has given up. Let's, in the meanwhile, look at the fast bowling or the bowling department in general.
Hello.
I was quite, yeah, he's back. I was quite skeptical about this bowling attack, uh, especially Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Yash Dayal, Suyash Sharma, who are not in their prime or who are not the best bowlers historically in the IPL. But all of these somehow they just overperformed, and especially Bhuvneshwar, the way he bowled in the death, I didn't expect that from him. And even Suyash Sharma, his bowling kind of became impossible to face or at least attack. And people started defending against Suyash Sharma, which I didn't see, to be honest. So yeah, I think it was a season where everything worked for RCB, and even the likes of Tushara, who I think got one game towards the end, they contributed well. So yeah, an absolute perfect team performance, an ideal season for RCB. And Ved is left, is facing some issues with his audio setup, and he's back. Here we go.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible. So I was talking about the bowling and how they overperformed. Were you surprised, or did you expect them to do this well?
I think the bowlers really stepped up for them, but even last year, bowling wasn't necessarily a problem, especially when they started winning. I think the decision to retain Yash Dayal over Siraj, which initially seemed a bit off, and I still won't forgive them for doing that. But I think Yash Dayal did uh, deliver in a way. I think the CSK game where he defended, and I think even versus MI, he got a couple of wickets. And here and there, he never really came in the news, which meant that he had a good season. Uh, and of course, Josh Hazelwood, he
Yeah,
was as good as maybe prime Bumrah was. So that helped, and Bhuvi. So I just can't stop taking names. Everyone had a big part, and they did their role very well. So that's what makes a team effort into a winning effort.
yeah. So now let's quickly look at the prospective releases. I don't think there are a lot. Uh, if I was RCB, I would probably release maybe Liam Livingston because I think he was bought for quite a lot of money. They might want to buy him back, but they can obviously buy him for a lower price. So they might do that. I think someone like a Cam Green might fit in the squad really well, but I don't think RCB will go into the auction with a lot of money because they won't have to release a lot of players. So I don't think outside of Liam Livingston or and maybe a few fast bowlers here and there, like Blessing Muzarabani or maybe Lungisani Angidi. But apart from these guys, I don't think they have to really change anything in this team.
Yeah, I think Raseek Dar is one man who they spent a lot of money on, which is around 6 crores. I thought he had a role to play, but they managed without him, and he wasn't that good in the chances that he got.
Yeah,
So he could be a potential release because you always have a lot of young Indian bowlers in the auction. So maybe 6 crores would be freed up in that way. And Lungi Ngidi, maybe he did well, but him or Thushara, I think that's a choice that they would make.
Yeah.
Both are similarly priced, 1 crore for Ngidi, 1.6 for Thushara. But I would say maybe they could release Ngidi and free up an overseas spot. So I think other than that, as you mentioned, it's a very, very settled side and they don't
Yeah.
need to really make a lot of changes.
There's also one player who's missing, and that is Devdutt Padikkal. He got injured midway, so if you add him to this batting lineup, then they really don't need anybody else.
Yeah, and I wonder who did Seifert replace. Uh, I'm not sure.
Let me quickly do a Google. Who did Muzarabani replace? Was it a bowler? Oh, Seifert replaced Jacob Bethel, so he's also in this side. We completely forgot him. And who did Muzarabani replace? Muzarabani replaced Lungi Engedi. Okay, I think that was
Yeah,
during the COVID. Sorry,
war.
the the war. Yeah, stoppage. So there's Jacob Bethel and Devdutt Padikkal who were not even mentioned here. So that brings even more power to the side. So I think they are still very dangerous. Most of their players are young. Virat Kohli obviously doesn't age. He'll still deliver 500 runs for you. Jitesh Sharma, Phil Salt, Patidar, all, and even Padikkal, they are in prime form right now. So they'll deliver their 300, 400 runs. And the Pacers, I think that's the only thing which might not work. Bhuvneshwar, who's 1 year older now, Yash Dayal, Josh Hazelwood, you don't know if they'll deliver the same way. So their bowling is the only weak link that I see. But if they can deliver at least 70% of what they did last year, they should be good again.
Yeah, as you said, the batting is very strong and too good to not deliver again.
Yeah.
Bowling, I think they'll need some backups just in case things don't work out the way they did this year. And I can see that they are lacking a bit of local talent or the domestic talent. Abhinandan Singh is a good bowler, but not the best out there. One man I would really like to see in this setup is a local who is Vidvat Kaverappa. I've been behind him for a long time, and he went unsold this year, which was really surprising.
Oh,
So I think he's one name they could really go after, and maybe someone like Karthik Sharma. He's a batter, but a wicket-keeping batter, so even he could fit in.
yeah. Do you think RCB will go for one of the leggies who are expected to be released, such as Hasaranga or Tikshana? Because they've always liked playing a leg spinner. Uh, they had Chahal for several years, then they had Hasaranga. And last year they missed out. They had Suyash Sharma, but he's more of a faster spinner who bowls flippers like Bishnoi, not a classic leg spinner.
Yeah, I think he's a very good bowler and he has a high ceiling, Suyash Sharma. But as you mentioned, they can go for one of the big boys of leg spin. And one name which I sadly feel that won't be considered just because of his nationality. He's from Bangladesh, Rishad Hussain. I think he's one of the best leg spinners in the world right now, and I'm not saying that in a light way because he's got some real talent and he's also a decent hitter. He's a pinch hitter as well. So he's what Hasaranga was around 4 or 5 years back. So he's someone you would love to invest in, but of course, we saw last year that not a single Bangladeshi player was picked. So I think,
Except Fizz.
yeah, he
Or
came
I
in as
think,
a
yeah, he
replacement.
was a replacement. Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, so one of the leg spinners might be picked if they release a couple of overseas spots like Ingidi or someone, because I feel is I don't think they will release Livingston because he didn't have a good IPL, but currently he's at his all-time peak since the IPL ended. He's played well in the 100 and in the T20 Blast. So uh, I feel that they'll not release him.
Perfect. So yeah, RCB they deservedly are now. I actually understand why they won last year because they had a complete squad and everybody delivered. So yeah, any last thoughts and what do you think will happen to them this year? Will they continue their good performance or will they fall?
I genuinely don't see any reason why they cannot repeat their feat. Uh, I think winning is not the end goal. The aim should always be to stay consistent, and this is not just about cricket. So if you stay consistent for long enough, you'll eventually get the results. I think that's what happened with RCB. Ever since Mike Hessen joined them, really at least had a stable setup in
Yeah,
place, and they were doing the process right, and eventually it took them half a decade, but eventually they got the result. So I think they're professional enough to not just become complacent after one trophy. So they will obviously continue this, and I think this is just the beginning of the
yeah,
RCB era.
yeah. Follow the process, control the controllables, and uh, as
Bye
MS
bye.
Dhoni says. But yeah, I agree. Uh, I think Dinesh Karthik as well joining them has made a lot of difference because I think the way the team is looking now, from the training videos that we see, they all seem to enjoy their company. You have also been following their social media content, and it's always very entertaining. So yeah, the team is doing well. Best part is that they've taken away the limelight from Virat Kohli, where he can now just come and perform, and he doesn't have to do other things like captaining or leading the side and all that stuff. So he is free, and at the same time, they've got a lot of other players who can perform. So yeah, that's pretty much it about RCB.
Yeah, and before we end, I would just like to throw in a bit of news that I read today. I'm sure, I feel a bit disappointed in myself for even bringing this up because the source is Rev Sports, which is uh, known for spreading misinformation. But the article that I read was that Virat Kohli declined to renew one of the commercial contracts which was related to RCB. Uh, so I don't know if that hints towards of what they are trying to hint it towards him leaving the franchise, but uh, it's surely Rev Sports. But the news that they released was that he rejected a commercial contract which was related to RCB. So
Oh,
can't speculate much on that, but it's just one of the news out there.
that's pretty interesting. With that, I also remember one thing that I wanted to discuss. It was about the unfortunate situation that took place at Chinnaswamy. Uh, that might result in RCB having to move away from Chinnaswamy because I think they shifted a few games for the local Karnataka T20 league outside Chinnaswamy. So, and I think there were news or speculation that BCCI were going to ban Chinnaswamy for a few months and until they improve their security and the policy where how the people exit the stadium and all that. So that might actually work for RCB because historically they have not done well at Chinnaswamy. Even last year, I think out of the four losses, three came at home in Chinnaswamy. So that's one thing to maybe look at. We'll have more clarity as we approach the season.
Yeah, I think that announcement was made just to uh, divert the attention. That's what I genuinely believe, and I don't think they might necessarily get banned. But we have been hearing that the government is building a stadium because even apart from the horrific accident, uh, Bengaluru has always needed a new venue because it's very
Yeah.
outdated and doesn't look that great. So it is going to come up soon. So I think till then they will play in Chinnaswamy, but I think in a couple of years they might have to shift for the good. But I don't think till then they'll play in Allur or Center of Excellence ground because that's the only other venues in Karnataka or in Bangalore.
Fair enough. Uh, so with that, we have finished our objective for today. Yep. So we'll come back next week with two more teams for the IPL review. And we'll have, to be very honest, we messed up because
Yeah.
RCB were number two on the points table. So we did injustice towards Punjab. So we'll have them next time. So we'll have Punjab Kings and Rajasthan Royals. So
A lot to talk other than the
yeah,
strategy for Rajasthan.
Rajasthan Royals obviously going through a lot of turmoil. We'll discuss more next week. But till then, I think we can sign off for the day.
Yeah, so until next time, this is Ved signing off.
Bye.